Greetings. I am Taven of a Mind Transformed, and this is Manna for Your Journey. Recently, I talked about how to survive hurt. Today, we're going to talk about how to properly heal. We know that being hurt is going to come, it's a part of life. How we handle that hurt and how we recover from that hurt is of paramount importance. We don't want to get stuck in the past, stuck in bitterness, stuck in brokenness, stuck in disappointment, stuck in isolation. We don't want to get stuck in that point in time. We want to grow and move past it with God. Now, let's talk about a couple of things that healing is not. Healing is not avoidance. Avoiding the situation doesn't mean you're healed. If you're fine as long as the name doesn't come up, the situation doesn't come up, you're not reminded about it, then you say you're fine and you're healed. That's avoidance. It's not healed. It's also not healing if when the name comes up or the situation comes up or somebody wants to talk about it, you say, I feel nothing, I'm numb. That's not healing also. That's a defense mechanism. That's indifference. That's not healing. Avoidance is not healing. The defense mechanism, I feel nothing, is also not healing. Healing and being properly healed is when you can discuss the situation all day, every day, and it doesn't put you back in that same place you were, doesn't take you back to that same place emotionally, doesn't cause your chest to get tight, doesn't cause you to cry or be on the verge of tears, doesn't cause you to be angry or upset, and it doesn't cause you to have to say, I need to change the subject because I can't talk about this anymore. That's not proper healing. Being properly healed means you can have the conversations about it, you can talk about it all day, you can remember things about it, and it doesn't take you back to that place. Being healed means you're not holding it against a person, you've forgiven, you're not holding a grudge, you don't wish the worst for that person, you don't want that company to shut down, you don't wish that whole church disappears or all them people go away from God. No, when you're healed of something, the love of Christ can replace the hurt, and you pray for the people, not against them. You pray that that ex can have salvation and walk into the fullness of a relationship with God. You pray that former boss comes to know Jesus and buys the house that they were planning to buy. You pray that people can walk through every open door God has for them and receive the best of God and draw close to God and walk out their gifts and their talents and to work out their soul salvation with fear and trembling. Those are the things you pray for people. Those are the things you pray for situations and jobs when you're properly healed. Anything less than that isn't healing. So a couple of things have to happen in order for us to be properly healed. One, we have to admit we're hurt. A lot of people have pride and don't even want to admit the situation they were in hurt them. They try to say it didn't hurt and it didn't matter, so they bury those feelings, they avoid them, and then they're surprised when something comes up and everything boils over. It's because they've gotten very good at burying things alive, but they're terrible at being properly healed. The second step is we have to admit and we have to allow ourselves to understand that the feelings we had are valid. No one can tell you that you're wrong for what you feel. You are not wrong for what you feel. We don't control what we feel. We control what we do with those feelings. We discover what we feel. And you are perfectly fine, perfectly valid. It is perfectly okay for you to feel whatever it is you feel. What you do with those is important, not that you felt them in the first place. Jesus paints a picture for us of what it is to actually be properly healed. When Jesus sees Thomas, Thomas wants to put his hands in Jesus' side, his fingers. He wants to put his finger into the hole in Jesus' hands. And Jesus shows up and allows Thomas to touch the place that once had him in excruciating pain, to touch the things that were painful in his body, to touch those things that were painful in his life. And Jesus didn't have a reaction. He didn't go back to being nailed on a cross. He didn't talk about how much it hurt and it took him back there. He didn't talk about the soldiers and the system that put him there. He didn't bring up the fact that the disciples said they would be with him no matter what, and yet they all ran. Jesus didn't go back in time to the pain at all. He allowed Thomas to touch the things that hurt, to touch him in areas that were in severe pain at one point in time, and he didn't have a reaction. He moved on with Thomas. Jesus was properly healed. He could show his wounds, He didn't have to cover them up. He didn't have to hide his scars. He could show his wounds. He could discuss them if need be. And there was not a problem at all. That's being properly healed. Invite God in, and He can do the same for you. You can be properly healed no matter how grievous the wound, no matter how much it hurt. When you allow God in, you face it and you give it to Him. And God can heal you just the same. Well, that's all I have for you today. Again, my name is Taven of A Mind Transformed. Be blessed.